the Walter Sisulu University has shut its doors until further notice, and this is due to protests on campus. The university says it continues to engage with the Student Representative Council, the SRC, but they have now found themselves at an impasse with the 2021 academic year under threat. The university says it's conceded to certain demands, including waiving the minimum initial registration payment. Videos circulating on social media show a police van that's been set alight, and students can be seen dispersing on campus grounds. The university's spokesperson, Yonela Tukwayo, joins me now for a conversation on that. So, Yonela, it would seem that this is a major disruption to your program to try and get the academic year underway. What happened? I mean, those scenes that we saw yesterday, a police nyala being set alight, and we are told that there was a cafeteria inside the Mthatha campus, if I'm correct, that was looted.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. It is very unfortunate that we have seen violent protest action which has led the university management to close the university. What we're currently doing is seeking a court interdict that will then ensure that the students do then vacate the residences. Just for correction, the cafeteria that was looted was at the Butterworth campus. That is also where we saw students setting alight a university vehicle, a university bus. As you're currently pointing out, our academic year is in danger as we speak. As it is, we only completed the 2020 academic year in March of 2021. So we do not have a moment to waste within this academic year, because already a lot of that time has been taken up finishing off 2021. So the decision to close the university and to ask the students to vacate is not an easy decision for the university to make, precisely because we know that a lot of students come from far away, from various provinces, and it's not easy for those students to then have the financial means to go back home. One of the reasons why the mayoral committee of the King Sabata Dalindyebo municipality facilitated an engagement this morning between the council chairperson of the university, Advocate Tembeka Ngugaitobi, management and students as well, was to try and avoid a situation where the municipality is then called upon to assist in facilitating our stranded students in various community halls.
So you're seeking an interdict to get the students to vacate the campuses, all three campuses, being Mthatha, Butterworth, and what's the last one that I'm forgetting?
East London.
Yes.
That is correct. So that is the interdict that we are seeking for. This is where we have seen damage being caused by striking students to property, including the torching of a bus that I've already indicated, which took place last week. We know that even this morning in our East London campus, students were setting off fire extinguishers. There has been reports of damage there, although not to the extent that we saw in the other two campuses specifically.
What's your reading as a university management as to why this particular protest has seen so much violence?
Well, I think just to indicate that we have a very open communication policy with the students. So there have been constant engagements at campus level as well as at an institutional level, where we have seen institutional managers and executives engaging with students. We have, as you indicated in your intro, conceded to a lot of the demands of students to an extent where even the first-year students who do not have funding and do not have money have been allowed to register. And this is something that has not happened in the university in the past. So we have considered considerably on a number of issues. One of the key outstanding issues that they're insisting on, the first one is on book allowances for NSFAS-funded students. Again, this is a matter that is beyond the university's jurisdiction, because we have to abide by the memorandum of agreement with NSFAS, and these are rules that are applicable to all universities. The second one is that, students are still insisting that the May graduation season be held live and face-to-face. We all know that with the COVID-19 pandemic that's upon us, as well as the regulations that, govern such gatherings, we would not be able to accommodate live graduations. Just to give you an example, in our Mthatha campus, we host up to 5,000 people per graduation session, which would include parents as well as the graduates themselves. So to congregate in such huge numbers during, COVID pandemic times, it is obviously, something that the university cannot concede to. We would not be able to do it in that fashion. Secondly, even if we were to break down the graduation into much smaller sessions, we still would have to keep it to a minimum of 250 people per session, which then includes the parents and the students themselves. That would probably take us at least 2 months to be able to get through the graduation ceremonies of all of the students that we have. We're expecting in excess of 5,000 graduates for our May graduation season.
Just to tease out some of the issues, for instance, around the issue of student accommodation and NSFAS allowances, and one assumes that in addition to the book allowances, perhaps this includes issues to do with the accommodation. And the reason I ask that is that, Yonela, you know better than I do that many of your students in some of your campuses, like Mthatha, depend on accommodation that is not provided by the university, but rather rental accommodation off campus. And it can be a bit of a challenge if your accommodation is not being paid for.
That is correct. However, the students that we then put into the private accommodation, which is off campus, are students that are funded. Either they have bursaries or they are funded by NSFAS, because if we don't put in students that will have confirmed payments, then it puts the university at risk in that we as a university would then have to pay for those students in those residences. Secondly, I think it's something that is important for me to mention that as we stand as Walter Sisulu University, we have a student debt that sits at 1.3 billion rand. This is money that is owed to the university by current and past students. This is money that should be in our coffers, assisting the university with its maintenance plans, with its operations, and so on. So one of the reasons, we have seen protest action in the past has been around the state of our own accommodation within the university. And when you've got such an outstanding debt, money that should be, going towards building new residences, renovating existing residences, and so on, then you start to see a picture that from a financial perspective, the fact that we even made the concession to allow students to register, even if they don't have that registration fee, indeed, it is a major risk that we are taking financially for an institution like ours that is already sitting with a big debt. That's why we also call upon funders, potential donors, to assist with funding students' fees and accommodation and so on.
Lastly, Yonela,
so that we can try to reduce the debt.
Sure. Lastly, let me ask you then to confirm for us, the closure is indefinite, and what plans then are in place for those students who will not be able to resume online, who come from far-flung areas across the Eastern Cape and across South Africa, who simply won't be able to keep up with the academic program online?
Well, we have issued laptops to all of our students, which is one of the sticky points. You will recall that the Department of Higher Education issued, and in fact NSFAS, made the provision for universities to provide laptops to students that do not have laptops. Secondly, we do allocate data to students so that they can continue with their online lessons. So online learning and teaching will resume. It will continue, despite the fact that the campuses have been shut down, and indeed at this point our campuses have been shut down indefinitely pending the resolution of the protest actions. We do allow students to protest because that is their constitutional right. However, we have to then remove students from campus when we see the violent scenes, like you have already mentioned, of the social media videos that are going around where there is a police vehicle that had been set alight.
Yeah, all right, thank you so much for that. That is is Yonela Tukwayo, who is the spokesperson of the Walter Sisulu University, a concerning situation that's even prompted the police commissioner, Thulasizwe, to issue a statement and basically highlight the fact that there's been a degree of violence in those protests at the Walter Sisulu University, saying that 4 members of public order policing sustained injuries when a group of violent protesters threw stones at members conducting foot and vehicle patrols. 1 member has since been hospitalized. So there's also that element about how the protesters and the police clashed in those incidents yesterday. Certainly a fair degree of violence in that protest.